Hello everybody, SirMonkeySuit here back again. Alright, it's been a while, but we're back with Haikyu. So, in the last couple of episodes, we had the whole thing with Tsukushima, right? So, it was all the backstory pertaining to that, and the reason why he's so not, you know, he never gives his all, never gives like 100%. He never goes beyond, or tries to, because essentially his brother was somebody who tried to do that, but never made it into the team. He never even made it onto the bench. So, you know, it kind of gave Tsukushima a sense of, like, you know what I mean, there's no point giving your all if, you know what I mean, for like no... For no benefit, no reward in the end, you know. So, but it seems like he is changing his tune right now. So, if that's the case, then we might have a serious blocker on our hands, which is good. But it also means that, you know, there's going to be a sort of heightened rivalry between Tsukushima and Shoyo, because obviously they're in the same position. But then again, Shoyo was also looking to, like, become an ace. Now there was that whole thing with, you know, an ace, it doesn't have a specific position, so, you know, but generally, more often than not, they're a wing spiker. So we'll see what happens. I think we are going to get straight into a match. So it's going to be interesting to see how Tsukushima does. I imagine he's going to be the MVP, since, you know, the story seems to be revolving around him at the moment. So, yeah, just get straight into it, shall we? Let's go.
Haikyu, お母さん様。東京は涼しい場所といえど東北より暑いです。丸1週間の合宿遠征3日目。みんなバテつつあるようです。そして日向と影山くんの衝突から約3週間お疲れ。どうも。一緒に練習するようになっても未だ会話はありません。くそ、また短い。お前、スリッポン。すいません。日向と影山くんの新しい速攻はあまりうまくいっていません。この合宿中。
Jesus. Versus Umbrella. Well, Umbrella Corporation. Resident Evil.
慣れない長期遠征。気温は上がる一方。そろそろしんどくなってくる頃か。
It's good for stamina though. One hand versus two hands. That'll be easy.
みんな上手くなってる。俺だけまだ何もない。あんなにイライラしてる日向初めて見た。
Yeah, he seems. It's just that him and Kageyama aren't connecting right now. He's got it. He got it. He got it for a second.
Nice cover, nice cover. 日向器用だな。今手抜いたな。もう一回言ってみろよ。おいこら。すいません。タイムアウトお願いします。今のは落ちてくるトスじゃなかった。
おそらく今のはこれまでなら落ちていたはずのトスが少し放物線を描くようなトスだったんじゃないか。つまり影山が日向に何とか打たせようとしたってことか。
It should be better that way then, right?
それによって日向が調子を落とすことを影山は。
Because then it's gradual. It's not like a sudden change kind of thing, you know?
俺は今無意識に妥協したのか。やめな影山。集合だっつってんだろ。
チビちゃんが欲しいトスに 100% 答えているか。
今日の夜から俺はお前と練習しない。もちろん試合でも新しい速攻は使わない。なんでだよ。
さらに関係悪化。
お前が言ったんだろ。やめんなって。
ツッキー、今日は仲間連れか？
はい。相棒はどうしたのさ。
影山はまた一人で練習。研磨にトス上げてもらおうとしたら5本で逃げられた。
研磨が5本も自主練に付き合っただけでもすげえぞ。
だから俺も入れてください。
じゃあ人数ちょうどいいから3対3やろうぜ。
3 on 3 here. Who's gonna be?
これすげえバランス悪くないですか？
It's like two
東京の強豪のエースとセッターと一緒だ。
a setter and an ace, huh?
バーサス月島。チャンスボール。
ちゃんと止まって。
上へ飛べ。
Nice.
ちょいちょこいや。
そろそろ切り上げないと食堂閉まって晩ご飯お預けですよ。
朝ですよ。
もうちょい寝かせて。
いただきます。
そんだけ食べても栄養が成長に回らないってどういうこと？
Oh my god.
見られた。影山フォロー。ひなた。お願いフリー。おっしゃー。
Out.
あー、すみません。狙いすぎた。次お願いします。
影山、ペットボトルを単なる目標だと思うな。イメージしろ。できるだけ具体的にスパイカーを。
スパイカーをイメージ。
Interesting. I wonder if. Yeah, I've got it. I know why. I know why that he's not being able to do it.
スパイゴミ捨て場の決戦ってやつをさ、なんとか実現したいんだよね。うちの監督の念願だし、けど監督はあとどんくらい現役でいられるかわかんねえしさ。それにはお前らにも勝ち上がってきてもらわなきゃなんねえだろ。赤石か。すいません、少し低い。囲い込め。ブロックの面積広げろ。今日もでけえな。1年のくせに。
わざとブロックに当てた。
おい、カイラ。いいトスよこせよ、カーシー。
Interesting. It's,
今の
if you hit it on purpose to get a better.
ブロックの手に軽く当てたやつ。
おお、リバウンドだ。よっしゃー。高橋ナイス。ジェビちゃん、ラスト頼んだ。はい。お前ら寄ってたかって言えねえぞ。
All three.
もう壁っていうより傘だろ。打つ場所なんか。
Alright, that makes sense. Makes sense of this title.
戦い方は見えてくる。
Hit the tip. Yeah.
上に向かって撃った。
Nice.
今の狙ったのか。見事なブロックアウトじゃねえか。
確かにリエフの手の先っちょは狙ったけど。
何？俺が必殺技を授けよう。
必殺技。
次行きます。
スラタか。
Nice.
ひなたおはよう。
おお、やちさんおはよう。腹減ったね。
朝から元気だね。ひなたも遅くまで練習してるんでしょ？
うん、 でも起きたばっかだし。
特訓の成果はどう？
今すんげえのやってっから期待してて。
やっぱり今んとこここでの最強は袋谷か。お、産川とカラスの終わった。
That's a lot of sets. Oh god, look at that.
ペナルティーをこなす姿に異様な貫禄。前回の遠征も含めて他の何倍もペナルティーやってるからね。俺絶対無理。
カラスノのチビちゃんがめっちゃフライング上手くなってる。
ちっくそ、最後まで負け同士かよ。
お前ら頑張れ、生き残るんだ。
大地さん、
これは偶然聞いた話だから黙っておくべきかと思ったんだが。
なんすか？
この練習試合全部終わったら監督たちのおごりでバーベキューらしいぞ。
Great. Yay.
影山。俺は早く落ちるトス打ちたい。
昨日速攻やらないって言われたばっかじゃん。
There's been a lot of progression.
ここらで一発気持ちよく勝ってうまい肉を食おうぜ。
Next episode. Yeah. Alright, I think Kageyama and Shoyo's, well, obviously friendship was like still sort of on the ropes. Like they still hadn't got together to discuss everything, right? And I think that was playing into like the whole idea how they could never, like they couldn't connect back on the court again. But also like the fact that it's a completely new technique, you know what I mean? But I think like that, like the friendship thing off the court didn't exactly help things. And when, like near the beginning, when Kageyama like changed it up and did the, I don't know, they described it as like a parabola type thing, where instead of it looping and then immediately stopping and coming down, it sort of gradually did that. And I kind of put it down, well, I feel like that is actually better right now, because then it's like a gradual shift, you know what I mean? So Shoyo could actually get used to it, you know what I mean? Because if Kageyama like gradually, you know, it's like a learning curve, you know what I mean? You don't like you don't have like it, like in a game, right? You don't have enemies that you can easily beat and then all of a sudden enemies that you can't beat, right? You gradually make them harder and harder and more challenging so you can get used to them. And I feel like that should kind of apply here, instead of like immediately going from one thing to another. Like make it, like spread it out and gradually do it. So for me, the parabola thing was much better, because originally it was just a straight shot, right? Like that's what they described. Well, they've visualized it was Kageyama would hit the ball straight, and then they changed it to, well, do it like the loop. But in that one where he hit in the beginning of this episode, it was sort of like an arc. So I just feel like it would have been better that way. But I guess they're not doing that. I guess they're going straight for the loop again, because the idea of, like, you know, Kageyama can pull it off. So, you know what I mean? You've got to have that belief in him, I guess. But for me, it's like more realistic to like take the gradual approach. I guess the geniuses though. So, and Shoyo like getting worked up because like Kageyama like almost doubted himself for a second, and I get it, because it's different with those guys, because it's sort of, it's like for everybody else, it's like, you know, working on their own thing, like making sure that like they improve on their game, whereas for Kageyama and Shoyo, it's almost like because those two go hand in hand, like one can't perform at his best if the other isn't. You know what I mean? So it's kind of different with those two. So it's, you know what I mean? Instead of like being mad at yourself, they kind of have to be mad at each other. Now I guess that's why their partnership kind of works, because they're always like that. Interesting though. And it made me wonder, like, the whole idea of like me thinking about gradual, like the gradual progress. It made me like, well, I put down, I wonder if Shoyo was like hoping for like immediate results, like immediate progress, like, you know, like he's hoping that things can change immediately, and everyone has that. Everyone wishes they could be better, like in an instant, you know what I mean, or pick up some skill that they never knew, like overnight. But it's not how the world works. So we'll see how it works. I'm imagining this last match will take place over maybe like 2 episodes or something, and then the next half of the season will probably take place in the spring tournament, I imagine. So I imagine all of this like fruitful labor period of them practicing and whatnot will all come full circle, and they'll actually start playing a good game now, hopefully. So yeah, Tsukushima's personality has not changed, even though he's sort of his thoughts on the sport and on the game has changed. So obviously he's going to give it as much as he can, but his personality hasn't changed, which is kind of strange. But well, it's not, because technically you don't really want it to change, because that's just his personality. But the thing is, when he realized his brother wasn't playing at all and he was nowhere near ace, Tsukushima's personality changed along with that. So it made me wonder, like, if this is how he's going to act, like if he's got a different lease on how he should play the game, then I was wondering if he would like pull back some of that personality as well, because obviously that's how he got his personality, or that's how he is now, is because of that whole situation, and the fact that that situation is now like removed from his mind. I was wondering if it was going to change his personality, but I guess it hasn't. And this whole like practice like arc kind of shows how far behind Karasuno like is, and that like maybe they sort of got, I don't want to say lucky, because, you know, like maybe they got like further than they really should have in the first season, you know what I mean? Because it was based off essentially one technique. It was based, like the whole season 1 was based upon like essentially, you know, they got as far as they did based on the fact that they can do a superhuman quick that nobody else can, you know what I mean? And like by right, they really shouldn't have gotten that far. And this arc shows exactly like why they shouldn't. Like, it just shows how far behind they really are. And it's good, because now they're all changing things up, and they've all got like more than one thing in their locker now. You know what I mean? It's not just like a straightforward like one dimension, like you do this, you do that. You know what I mean? They can change things up at any time, and it allows them to be more flexible, I think, which is much better. Yeah, so Kochukai like telling Kageyama, like, look, visualize the spiker instead of focusing on the bottle. And I think that is more symbolic of how Kageyama actually has always been in the show. Because when you're thinking about the superhuman quick that they did, he wasn't visualizing the spiker either. He was visualizing like that one point, which was Shoyo's hand, right? And in this arc, he's focusing on the bottle instead of visualizing where the spiker is. And it makes sense because the smaller the target that you're trying to hit, the harder it is. If you visualize where a spiker is, and like obviously how big they are in terms of like a person compared to the size of their hand, there's a much wider field of there's a much wider space in which you can figure out where to place the ball. You know what I mean? And it helps you visualize it a hell of a lot easier. Which in the end is obviously going to help Kageyama much more. So yeah, good. I'm really liking Bokuto. How do you pronounce that? Bokuto, I think. I can't. Either way, he's cool. I like him. He's like just giving everybody advice, isn't he? He got through to Tsukishima, and now he's getting through to Shoyo and just giving them all advice. But he's you know what I mean? He is really advanced, like in terms of his style and his technique. I love the fact that when there was like a wall in front of him and he couldn't visualize how he was going to he basically couldn't. There was no way he could get through. So instead, what he did was he rebounded it so that he could bring it back and go for another shot and get a different angle. I love that, and it plays on the fact that, you know what I mean, like how instinctive you have to be, and how quick thinking you have to be when that moment that, you know what I mean, in those short little moments that you're up, about to spike the ball, to change your mind like in an instant, you know. So yeah, it's cool. So yeah, Karasuno 3 wins and 61 losses. Again, it goes back to just shows how Karasuno aren't, you know what I mean, just are not on, like, they're just not that good compared to everybody else. And I like how they picked up on the fact that Hinata's, like, his diving receives are getting better, because they've lost so many times that they've had to do this punishment so many times that it's actually, while it's considered a punishment, it's still helping them out. You know what I mean? Which is obviously it's a good practice technique. Like, if you lose, you have to do this as a punishment, which is something that not everyone wants to do. But in the long run, you know what I mean, it can be used to improve, well, your diving receives for one, you know. Yeah, and I like the fact that Fukuro Dani were like where they asked who we're up against now. They said Karasuno, and like they basically said, "Oh damn, they're like the hardest to play," which is interesting considering like they've obviously lost the most. So obviously like they're the easiest to beat, but they're the hardest to play, which is interesting. I think it sort of goes along with like the sort of the more mental game maybe. You know what I mean? How out of every team there is, the team that doesn't want to give up the most is Karasuno. Like, they are relentless. So it probably has something to do with more along like that idea, which I like, you know. I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, episode 9. So we're on episode 10 now. I imagine I'm going to be left on a cliffhanger until Tuesday, which is alright, because there's only 2 days left. So we'll be alright. Be alright, I think. But it will be a cliffhanger, I guarantee. I guarantee we are not getting the full match in this episode. So yeah, but we'll just deal with it. We'll deal with it. Anyway, yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.